I was reborn into this world as a dragon egg. Not just any egg. A rare double yolk, capable of hatching twins. I thought the moment I hatched, I would stand at the top of the world. Instead, my parents drove me out of the clan and dumped me in the world's most dangerous monster dungeon to fend for myself. Dragon Clan custom dictates that only one offspring per clutch is raised. If more than one egg is laid, the inferior one gets eaten. In every way, my talents fell short of my older siblings, so I became the one they threw away. The dungeon is overrun by high-level monsters, and my superior tier bloodline makes me exactly the kind of prey they crave. My dragon parents weren't worried in the slightest that I'd ever come back, and things went exactly as they predicted. At level 1, simply staying alive felt like a luxury. My small, scrawny body let me hide well enough to avoid the high-level monsters, but the lack of food was slowly dragging me toward death, just as I was scrambling around like a headless fly, desperately searching for anything edible. A faint, sour smell drifted through the dim cave. It was sharp, even a little rancid, but my hatchling instincts screamed that it was food, a scent only a dragon's nose could detect. I didn't stop to think. I pushed through several caves, and finally traced the scent to its source. A round, dome-shaped cavern. Coiled in the hollow center of the cave lay a massive dragon, 20 meters long, a level 28 subspecies earth dragon. One sneeze from her could kill me outright. Following the scent, I could make out 3 or 4 earth dragon cubs about my size, all nursing hungrily. Earth dragons aren't true dragons, but they share draconic bloodlines. More importantly, a subspecies earth dragon's milk is something I, as a candle dragon, can absolutely consume. Cloaked in shadow, I crept carefully toward the earth dragon's belly. Getting a clear look at the 4 cubs, I nearly cried out in relief. Heaven was on my side. Newly hatched, the cubs hadn't opened their eyes yet. No one would catch me freeloading. I took one last look to confirm. The subspecies earth dragon wasn't watching. Then let my hunger take over. I latched on and drank in deep, greedy gulps. The nursing earth dragon gave a sudden shiver, puzzled. Whoa, which one is sucking that hard? But a mother's instinct told her a hungry child eating was a good thing, and she didn't have the heart to interrupt, so she said nothing. As the warm milk flooded down my throat and into my body, my nearly frozen body filled with a strange spreading warmth. Along with it came a slow but steady rise in my level. Maybe it was the relief of escaping death, or maybe the earth dragon's warmth was just too comforting. But the moment my tension left me, my head drooped and I fell fast asleep. I had no idea how much time passed before a sharp sting at the scruff of my neck jolted me awake. Then a massive, slit-pupiled eye filled my entire field of vision. Staring into those eyes, blazing with barely contained fury, the only thing I could do was pray she chewed fast, so it would be over quickly. So I curled up my limbs, shut my eyes, and surrendered to fate. But death never came. The earth dragon's expression shifted, complicated, unreadable. The anger softened into something like pity, then a trace of helpless resignation. Finally, after a long pause, she closed her eyes and let out a slow sigh, then gently set me back among her cubs. I was completely dumbstruck. The earth dragon had already turned away, settled back down, and started snoring. The newly opened-eyed cubs circled me excitedly, sniffing and licking like 4 little puppies welcoming a new sibling. No way, Mom's seriously keeping this ugly thing? He looks so weird, like some alien lizard crossbreed. I leaned in closer and realized every single word was an insult aimed at me. I opened my mouth and let out an angry roar. All 4 cubs froze on the spot. Clearly, they hadn't expected me to talk back. I hadn't expected it either. After leveling up and unlocking telepathic communication, not only could I understand other monsters, they could understand me too. And so I spent a leisurely 3 days in that cave. Living with the cubs turned out to be surprisingly pleasant. They had foul mouths, but that was the extent of it. They never actually bullied me. They mocked me endlessly, pretending to look down on my shameless freeloading. But in reality, because I was the smallest, scrawniest, and ugliest of the bunch, every time we slept, all 4 of them would circle around me. And whenever there was the slightest movement outside the cave, they would close in tight around me, barking things like "Get back, you useless runt," and "Stay quiet and don't get in the way." But their actions told a different story. They were protecting me, the outsider. I'd secretly scanned their stats. They were far below mine. But I never let on. As a rare superior tier monster, my levels shot up much faster than theirs. In those few days, I'd climbed all the way to level 9. The 4 Earth Dragon cubs were only level 4. After 3 days, I genuinely began to think of the Earth Dragon family as my own. 1,000 times better than my wretched birth parents, at least. The only regret was that I had never once spoken to the Earth Dragon mother, and even when I tried to greet her, she'd give me a brief glance at most and never respond. I thought these peaceful days would just go on like this. But on the very next morning, a level 35 subspecies Kodo beast shattered that peace. The moment it barged into the cave, its 4 bloodshot eyes locked onto the 4 Earth Dragon cubs. It was clearly starving, wild with hunger. The Earth Dragon reacted instantly, sweeping the cubs into the corner of the cave with her tail, then planting herself between them and the Kodo beast. The two faced off, and within seconds the fight exploded. But against a Kodo beast that outranked her in level, the Earth Dragon was forced back step by step, and in her final effort to shield herself and her 4 children, the beast's thick nasal horn drove straight through her chest. Even so, the Earth Dragon dug her hind legs into the ground, chest pierced clean through, and refused to let the Kodo beast advance another inch. Her claws locked around the Kodo beast's neck like iron bands. Then with a roar she opened her shark-like jaws and drove them into the Kodo beast's back, tearing away a massive chunk of flesh. The cave shook and cracked under the impact of two massive creatures slamming into each other, rocks raining down in an endless cascade. I leapt into the air, smashing falling rocks with my fists and feet, but the cave was collapsing too fast. Protecting the 4 cubs alone was taking everything I had. There was nothing left to help the nursing mother. Even if I had tried, I wouldn't have done much against a thick-hided beast like the Kodo. I would have only gotten in the way. Suddenly, the Kodo beast surged forward with a frenzied burst of force, and the thick horn buried in the earth dragon's chest actually cracked from the sheer brutality of it. The tearing of her chest brought unimaginable pain. The earth dragon mother knew she would not survive this fight. She turned to look at her cubs one last time, and when she saw me fighting desperately to protect them, a quiet warmth crossed her eyes, as if to say, it was the right call, not eating you. Then her bloodshot eyes snapped wide open. She gathered every last ounce of strength and headbutted the Kodo beast square in the back of its skull. The impact was earth-shattering. Her own skull caved in on contact, her jaw shattered to pieces. Even the thick-hided Kodo beast couldn't withstand a suicidal strike to the back of the head. Its skull caved in with a sickening crack. Both massive beasts let out agonized cries and crashed to the ground. As the fight ended, the cave stopped collapsing. I pulled myself free and rushed to the earth dragon's side, but her nearly destroyed skull told me everything. She was already gone. My children, are my children all right? It was the first time I had ever heard the earth dragon mother speak. Her life was barely a flicker now, and her shattered jaw made every word a struggle. Faced with her question, I fought to suppress the guilt clawing at my chest. Because all 4 of her cubs were dead, every one of them crushed by falling rock. There had been too many rocks, and no matter how hard I'd fought, I couldn't have stopped them all. The earth dragon's final headbutt had triggered a wide collapse, and while I barely made it out alive, the 4 cubs, the days we had shared together still played vividly in my mind, and I had already come to think of them as my own brothers and sisters. Just minutes ago they were alive and full of life, and now they were all buried souls beneath the rubble. My children, are they okay? The earth dragon's eyes had been destroyed in the impact, yet she spent her last breath asking, her voice filled with nothing but love for them. A wave of guilt crashed through me, detonating inside my chest like a bomb. I clenched my teeth so hard I thought they might break. I choked down the grief and kept my voice as gentle as I could. They're fine, they just passed out, they're all okay. Is that so? A relieved smile crossed her face. When I'm gone, eat me. Her words stopped me cold. We were born in the dungeon. It's a curse we carry from birth. Nothing can be wasted. This is the last nourishment I can give my children. I don't know why a superior tier monster like you ended up here, but for the sake of taking you in, I'm asking you to look after my children. Her trembling body gave out before she could say more, and with one last exhale, the life left her completely. Even at the very end, her face held the peaceful happiness of a mother who believed her children were safe. She passed quietly. Blood soaked into the earth at my feet, and the cave fell deathly silent. My mouth hung open, but I couldn't even wail. Crying out would only draw more monsters, but my chest felt like it was being crushed under a stone. The subspecies earth dragon who had taken me in, the 4 cubs I had lived and slept beside, all 5 were gone in an instant. The first time the nursing mother ever spoke to me, it was her last words. In that moment, a helplessness I had never felt before crashed over me like a flood, but reality gave me no time to grieve. A thunderous bellow split the air, and the subspecies Kodo beast, which should have been dead, staggered back to its feet, its caved-in skull still gaping. It let out a victorious roar. In its eyes, the tiny hatchling left standing before it posed no threat at all. But do you know what the best part of being thrown into this godforsaken dungeon is? I lowered my head and clenched my claws into fists, facing the enormous beast, my voice trembling, not with fear but with pure burning excitement. Notification: new skill dragon aura has been unlocked. It's that I get to kill you with my own 2 claws. With a roar, I launched myself straight at the subspecies Kodo beast. Its wounds were severe, but punching through that thick hide was still a pipe dream for me at this level. Still, there was a way. The path to victory had already been laid out for me, by the nursing mother herself. The way through its defense, the wound the nursing mother had torn open at the back of its neck. I roared and shot forward like a streak of light, driving straight for the back of the Kodo beast's head, both claws fully extended, driving in and ripping the wound wide open. 3 days of the nursing mother's silent, distant composure, scrambling for food alongside the 4 cubs, sleeping curled up together. These images flashed through my mind like a spinning lantern, and my killing intent swelled to heights I had never known. Nothing existed in my mind but one thought: kill this Kodo beast and avenge them. 3 or 4 hours later, I stood before the earth dragon mother's body, resting my claws gently on her, feeling the last warmth still left in her. I didn't let myself drown in the grief. The dungeon doesn't care about tears. Just like the nursing mother had said, monsters born in the dungeon carry a curse from birth. Death can come at any moment, and that's never strange. My only regret was that I hadn't been able to save my 4 brothers and sisters. Nursing mother, I'll live on. For you and for every one of them. I opened my mouth and bit into the nursing mother's body, tore off a piece of flesh and swallowed it down. I choked back the sobs, swallowing my tears along with every bite. The flesh of someone I loved tasted so unbearably bitter, I forced it down with everything I had, no matter how much I wanted to heave. I couldn't waste a single bite. I had no choice. The smell of blood would draw other monsters, and she would end up devoured anyway. 3 days later, I walked out of the cave. My level was only 18, but thanks to the growth advantage of a superior tier monster, I could already hold my own against lower tier monsters at level 30. I cracked my claws with a sharp snap and pulled one corner of my mouth into a crooked, battle-ready grin, gazing out at the endless dungeon stretching before me. 3 monsters nearby, perfect timing, I'm hungry again. And with that, I took my first step toward fighting my way out. 5 days had passed since I left the cave, and every minotaur in the surrounding area had been swept clean by my hand. After finishing off the last minotaur, my level hit 20. Ding! Notice, current level cap reached. Experience gain suspended. Please select an evolution path to raise the level limit. Ascending Candle Dragon, the standard evolution for a young Candle Dragon, allowing greater mana capacity. Minor Candle Dragon, a general purpose evolution, offering sharper senses and faster reflexes. Degraded Candle Dragon, an unconventional evolution path, unlockable after surviving harsh conditions for a period of time, grants stronger vitality and agility, but limits mana capacity and physical growth. Looking at the pop-up, I worked out the pattern. Every 20 levels marks a tier. To go higher, evolution is required. But just as I was weighing my options, a crushing pressure slammed into me from behind. Every survival instinct I had snapped to full alert. I looked around, and at some point without my noticing, no fewer than 20 subspecies Kodo beasts had closed in around me, and behind them, an enormous Kodo beast stepped forward, its entire body a terrifying blood red. Combat Specialized Subspecies Kodo Beast Leader, Level 88, Type, Rare, Near Mid-Tier Monster. Those stats sent a chill straight through me. The setup was obvious. The Kodo Beast Leader had deliberately lured me into a trap. What puzzled me was that I had no history with this creature, no grudge between us, so why was the Kodo Beast suddenly coming after me? Then it hit me. I activated telepathic communication and prepared to talk. The Kodo Beast Leader let out a cold snort first, then spoke. Didn't expect the one poaching food on our territory to be such a tiny little runt. That confirmed it. Minotaurs are the Kodo Beast's primary food source, and in my early days to sharpen my combat skills, and because of the gluttony skill driving my appetite through the roof, I had been hunting Minotaurs, non-stop for days, causing a sharp drop in their numbers across the area. That directly left the Kodo Beast in the area dangerously short on food. Still, thinking it over, I just shrugged. Show weakness and you get walked on. That's just how it works. That truth holds especially in the dungeon. I planted my feet and tilted my head. Yeah, that was me. Your Kodo Beasts ate my nursing mother, didn't they? You want to fight? I'm right here. As I said it, a blue-green radiance ignited across my entire body, and I struck a pose like I was ready to tear the whole lot of them apart. Internally, though, I was already working out how to run. The Kodo Beast Leader clearly hadn't expected a runt that didn't even reach one of its front teeth to be this brazen. It let out a roar, stepped forward and activated the skill ground shrink. The massive creature vanished and reappeared directly in front of me as if it had teleported. At the same time, the dozens of Kodo beasts surrounding me unleashed a simultaneous roar, and I felt the sensation rip from all 4 of my limbs at once. I couldn't move a single inch. One hit from a Kodo beast that far above my level and it would all be over. In that moment, countless strategies flashed through my mind, and every single one was immediately ruled out. There was no plan. There was no way out. Then, out of nowhere, a pillar of pure blue light came blazing in, swallowing the completely unprepared Kodo Beast Leader whole, and the Kodo beasts nearest to it didn't even have time to scream. They were reduced to ash on the spot. As the scorching wave faded, a rhythmic set of footsteps echoed from the distance. It sounded like a mountain had grown legs. Each step sent violent tremors shaking through the ground. Every instinct I had blared a single red alarm, I will die. As the footsteps drew closer, I gathered every scrap of courage from 2 lifetimes and looked back. My heartbeat stopped. A form as vast and towering as a mountain range filled my vision. The first thing I saw wasn't its face. It was the first line of data from my skill truth. Target, Leviathan. Level 355. Type, Superior Tier Monster. Its attributes were so overwhelming that truth couldn't even register anything beyond its level and tier. I held my breath, no time to think. No time to wonder why a dungeon boss was here on the first floor. As the footsteps slowly faded away, only when silence fully returned did I dare breathe again. My right leg had taken damage from the blast. After a moment's thought, I decided to evolve here and now. After confirming no other monsters were nearby, I pulled up the evolution options again. Fledgling Candle Dragon is the most orthodox evolution, but it increases body size. In the confined spaces of the dungeon, that would only hold me back. Out of the question. After carefully reading through the descriptions, I decided to go with Degraded Candle Dragon. In terms of stats, while it does degrade the bloodline, at its core it's still a Candle Dragon, leaving the door open to re-optimize back to a true Candle Dragon in the future, and its stats are far more balanced. Surviving in an ever-shifting dungeon isn't about specializing in one ability, it's about having more options. With that settled, I closed my eyes. Notification, evolution command received, evolution will complete within 10 seconds. With truth's familiar chime, a wave of warmth spread from my heart to every corner of my body. The pain, the cold, the blood-loss dizziness, all of it vanished. My depleted body flooded with hot, surging blood. Old skin began to peel away. New scales pushed through in its place. I barely had time to appreciate the sensation before it was over. Ding. Level raised to level 8. My sky blue scales had shifted to a deep dark purple, visibly tougher than before. Every other stat had climbed as well. With dragon vision and perception both sharpened, I could clearly sense that Leviathan's presence was driving the monster population on floor 1 to collapse, and every survivor was fleeing in a panic. I had no idea why Leviathan, a dungeon boss, had come to floor 1, but I knew one thing: the first floor was about to change completely. With that thought, I made my decision. Time to head to floor 2. Not long after losing the nursing mother, I had already found the entrance to floor 2. The reason I hadn't gone through yet was simple. Once you descend to floor 2, you can't come back to floor 1. I still had no idea what Leviathan was doing here, but if circumstances hadn't forced my hand, I wouldn't have gone down this early. A few minutes later, I stood at the entrance of the passage, pinched my nose, closed my eyes, and jumped straight down. After a long, plunging fall, I had expected a clean landing. Instead, a fragment of human armor made sure the landing was anything but smooth. But it made me realize something. Is humanity really the dominant species in this world? I hadn't seen a single human since I was born, but just as that thought crossed my mind, an almost imperceptibly faint rustle came from 7 or 8 meters behind me. Thinking it was a monster attempting an ambush, I spun around in alarm. And the moment I did, my heart did something completely unexpected. Tucked at the corner of a dead-end passage not far away was a small, slender girl. First human I'd encountered since being reborn, and she was beautiful on top of that. For someone like me, a hopeless introvert who had been single for 2 lifetimes straight, the imagination wasted no time running wild. But just as I opened my mouth to say something, the girl let out a terrified shriek and dropped to the ground, scrambling backward in a panic, legs kicking desperately. But there was a stone wall just behind her, nowhere left to go. Her reaction baffled me. My chubby little hatchling form should have been adorable to any girl, shouldn't it? I lowered myself to the ground and crept toward her the way you'd approach a stray cat on the street. Hey, I don't mean any harm. I just want to know how you ended up here. Can you understand me? The girl only looked more terrified, mumbling something under her breath. Fight and maybe survive, don't fight and definitely die. Master Ginge, please grant me strength. Words that made little sense to me. Growing anxious, I tried to move closer to explain myself, but the moment I came within 2 meters, she exploded into action, throwing a full-force roundhouse kick with every bit of strength she had, completely caught off guard, and at such close range, the kick landed squarely on the weakest point of my head's defense. Then a single line appeared in my vision: HP -1. I couldn't help but think, so weak. I pulled up Truth and checked her stats. Pitiful didn't even begin to cover it. Target: active duty battle monk, level 19. Type: common tier human female. Reproductive value: above average. Stats like that wouldn't even get her by on floor 1, and I genuinely couldn't figure out how she had made it to floor 2. The girl was now crouched on the ground, clutching her leg, clearly in a lot of pain. The kick hadn't done a thing to me, but her right leg was now badly sprained. But a second later, ignoring the injury entirely, she bolted like a madwoman toward a nearby tunnel opening. I moved to go after her, but blood-fanged spiders kept dropping from above, cutting me off again and again. Monsters in the dungeon hunt based on life essence, which meant the weak human was beneath their interest. They all came swarming at me instead. Not that they posed any real threat, but they made me lose track of the girl completely. I was devastated. She was right there, and just like that, she was gone. 5 days passed, and I slowly found my footing on floor 2. Unlike floor 1, the monsters here came in far greater variety. Nearly every day I ran into species I'd never seen before, and that included humans, except every human I found was a corpse or a pile of remains. The girl from that day still lingered in the back of my mind, mostly because she was human. In recent days I had come across human remains more than once on floor 2, and even a large number of human footprints, suggesting a group of at least 200 to 300. Still, I very much wanted to find them. The dungeon environment clearly isn't built for humans. If they had the means to enter, logic suggested they also had the means to leave. At least that was the logic, and the possibility was exactly what I had been longing for. Unfortunately, days of trying to track human signs had yielded nothing useful, only more remains, one site after another. Then, just as I was about to leave the cave, a needle-sharp chill shot down my back. My body reacted before my mind did. A side roll, pure instinct. A highly compressed blade of wind grazed past my head and carved 4 deep gashes several feet long into the stone wall, as if the rock were nothing more than paper being scratched by a cat. No time to think. I immediately activated the sharp hearing that came with dragon vision, and picked up a small creature not far away, closing in on me at an almost unbelievable speed. By the time I processed it, the creature was less than 50 centimeters from my back. My scalp went cold. No time to even look back. Another sidestep. Sharp claws scraped across the scales on my face by a hair's breadth, and when I rolled clear, I found 4 gashes cut into my face. 2 strikes and you're still breathing. No wonder you had the nerve to walk into my territory. Looks like you've actually got some skill. A girl's voice drifted from the darkness. The 4-legged creature was lurking in the shadows, and after licking the blood from its claws, it rose up on its hind legs like a human. I'm guessing you have the telepathic communication skill? Then we can talk. But either way, you stepped into my territory, so don't expect to walk out alive, meow. I couldn't see it clearly, but I could tell the creature was smirking at me. The moment those words ended, the figure came at me at blinding speed. So fast the naked eye could barely track it. The sensation of a single creature somehow creating the feeling of dozens surrounding me at once. I had never imagined I'd encounter an enemy this impossible to deal with. As long as I guarded my vitals and avoided a one-hit kill, I wouldn't die quickly. But this creature's absurd speed left me almost completely helpless. If this kept going, I'd be ground down sooner or later, and this creature had clearly come with intent to kill. Facing an unwinnable situation, I pulled up the skill tree map in truth without hesitation. I had studied the skill tree before. Though it looked complex, most skills were simply upgrades or branches of existing ones, and couldn't be unlocked without the prerequisites. But the base-level skills, those I had memorized long ago precisely for a moment like this. Unlock Dragon Perception, 1 unlock point consumed, unlocked. Unlock Mental Focus, 1 unlock point consumed, unlocked. Unlock Pulse, 5 unlock points consumed, unlocked. A streak of light swept across the skill tree. As the nodes for Dragon Perception and Mental Focus lit up, my eyes snapped open, and in an instant, the world looked different. I spun and threw a punch at the empty air behind me. A sharp impact, and an afterimage went flying. Without a word, I followed up with a blast of dragon breath. The creature didn't even have time to cry out. A torrent of blue fire swallowed the entire underground chamber in an instant. I caught my breath and quickly checked my stats. The cost had been enormous, but there was no time to dwell on that. I noticed my experience points hadn't moved at all, which meant the target wasn't dead. My heart lurched. A point-blank hit from a void dragon breath was no small thing. I moved forward until I spotted the charred creature in the corner. Only then did my heart finally drop back into place. But the moment I got a clear look at what it was, something twisted hard inside me. Mutant Mongoose, level 51, humanoid, type legendary mid-tier monster, shapeshifted form, reproductive value extremely high. Staring at the pop-up, a pain I had never felt before twisted through my chest. I had nearly killed a mongoose? Mongooses are a common monster on floor 2 of the dungeon. Cat-like in form, but with a face closer to human, and 2 tails. It should have been nothing more than a common, unremarkable monster. But never in a million years had I expected to stumble across a mongoose that had completed its shape-shifted form. Aside from the cat ears and tails, every part of her looked completely human, no matter how you looked at it. Though over 80% of her body was burned, you could still make out what she had looked like before. And me, who had never hesitated to finish an enemy, I found myself unable to deliver the final blow. What's the holdup? Just kill me already, meow. The mongoose glared at me with burning hostility, and I found myself genuinely thrown off. After thinking it over for a long moment, I finally landed on a halfway decent excuse. Cat meat doesn't taste good, too sour and tough, and I don't like them this scrawny. The shape-shifted mongoose let out a cold snort. Think I look helpless, so you feel too sorry for me to eat? Spare me today and next time I'll be the one killing you, meow. I brushed off the threat without a second thought. What actually puzzled me was this. Why did you attack me just now? I keep Dragon Aura active around the clock at level 2. It doesn't deal damage, but it signals to other monsters that I'm not worth messing with. So most monsters don't dare come at me first. When she didn't answer, I repeated the question, this time with an edge to my voice. The girl-form mongoose glared at me, clearly reluctant to answer. You walked into my territory, and then you relieved yourself. On my territory. Who else would I hit? I blinked, thinking back to why I had come to this cave in the first place. Yeah, that was exactly what I had been doing. Cat types really do have a fierce sense of territory, but this was the dungeon. Could outside animal instincts really carry over here? And more to the point, female cats have territorial instincts too? All this over something that minor. Minor? You're this powerful. You must rank as a dominant tier monster on floor 2, and you don't even know something this basic, meow? Actually, I've been in the dungeon for less than a month. What? Impossible. The world outside is so much better, free to roam the forests. Some even get chosen by humans as mounts, never worrying about food again. Why would anyone come to a miserable hole like this, meow? Is it really that good out there? The mongoose's words nearly made me laugh. Monsters in the wild forest might never go hungry, but without the brutal tempering of the dungeon, they're completely helpless when humans come for them in force. And as for becoming someone's mount, maybe some humans do treat their mounts with care. But for most, it means freedom stripped away and value wrung out without a shred of mercy. No different from a chicken in a cage waiting to be slaughtered. 1 month in the dungeon, and the clearest thing I've come to understand is this. The dungeon is a slum for monsters, but it's also a place that truly belongs to them. I didn't bother explaining any of that to her. The girl-form mongoose was beginning to writhe in visible agony. What are you waiting for? I lost, just kill me already. What, do you enjoy watching me suffer, meow? There wasn't a trace of fear in her voice. If anything, she sounded like someone who had finally been given permission to rest. It brought to mind something the nursing mother had once said. We monsters are born in the dungeon. It is a curse we carry from birth. For a long time, I had avoided using telepathic communication, afraid that hearing the dying pleas of monsters would make me go soft. No matter what I'd become, I was still human inside, capable of basic empathy and pity. But in this place, those feelings could get me killed. Maybe it was something else entirely. But looking at the mongoose's wretched, pitiable state, I found myself hesitating. I wasn't stupid enough to just let her go, though, only to have her come back and kill me someday. Just as I raised my claw to finish it, a thunderous boom shook through the dungeon and stopped my claw midair. Then the entire second floor of the dungeon began shaking violently, like the world was spinning off its axis. Those humans are at it again? They really have a death wish. The mongoose's words sent a spark of excitement through me. I pressed immediately, which humans? Not long ago, humans launched another attempt to clear the dungeon, and got absolutely crushed by the floor 2 boss. Again, meow. A few of what looked like the leaders fled with the youngest members of the group. The rest of the stronger ones stayed behind, stranded on floor 2. They've been trying ever since to break through and escape floor 2. But how could they ever beat the boss? Meow. Every attempt cost them more people. A shockwave this big. It's probably all of them making one last desperate stand. In just a few sentences, she had dropped several of the words I cared about most. Just as I was about to dig deeper, the rock wall beside me exploded inward, and a handsome young man clutching a golden greatsword came crashing through. My first living human. The shock hit me instantly. The young man spotted me and the mongoose at the same moment, and his expression froze, and he immediately shouted back toward the hole he had burst through. "Captain, there are companion monsters over here. I'll handle them. Focus on the boss. Leave the monsters to me." With that, he dropped into a stance that said one of us was walking away and the other wasn't. The hatred burning in his eyes left me genuinely confused. I'd barely opened my mouth to explain, when the young man heard me speak, and instead of calming down, it fired him up even more. Cold sweat broke across him instantly, and he began muttering, "A mythic tier juvenile monster. If we don't deal with it here, next time we attempt this floor we'll be facing 2 of them. We won't make it out alive. For the sake of those who come after us, I have to keep it here, even if it costs me my life." A stampede of frustration thundered through my mind. Are you serious right now? That little monologue was almost moving. I'm practically tearing up. Hey, are you even listening to me? The young man's greatsword let out a sharp ring, and a surging, overwhelming battle will erupted from every pore of his body, the energy pouring off him multiplying tenfold in an instant. Then he shot forward like an arrow released from a bow, closing the distance in a heartbeat. Target, Holy Knight. Level 32. 1 class advancement. Type, Elite Tier Human. Most of his stats outstripped mine. At full strength, my skill advantages would have made short work of him, but I was wounded, and a direct confrontation was out of the question. Besides, I had no intention of picking a fight with a human. In the 2 seconds I spent hesitating, I dodged the incoming slash, scooped up the mongoose by the scruff of her neck, hauled her onto my shoulder, and sprinted in the direction furthest from the boss and the young man. The mongoose clearly hadn't seen that coming. One moment she was on the ground, the next she was being hauled off for no apparent reason. "What do you think you're doing, meow? I won't let you get away with this." The dazed mongoose bit and clawed at my bare head. "Shut it," I barked, then reached up and pinched the scruff of her neck. The mongoose went red in the face instantly. Her one remaining ear drooped, and her body went stiff as if frozen. The young man was already on top of me, a downpour of golden sword strikes raining in. I dodged sideways, and couldn't help raging internally. If I were at full strength, there's no way some nobody like you would be chasing me around. Exhausted, I had no choice but to swallow my pride in silence, and run with every last drop of energy I had. And so the chase began, man and dragon, one behind the other. 2 streaks of light weaving through the dungeon, locked in a furious pursuit. I'd assumed the young man would give up after a while, but after 2.5 hours of non-stop chasing, though he was clearly running on fumes, he refused to quit. Now I was genuinely furious. If things continued this way, the next strike would be his last, and his most ferocious. If he backed off now, I'd simply leave and save myself the effort. But if he dared throw everything into a single all-to-out strike, I would absolutely smash his head in. As it turned out, just as I made that decision, waiting to see what the young man would do, he let out a battle cry, every vein across his body rupturing at once, pouring every last drop of his battle will into the golden greatsword. Facing the young man's final, all-consuming strike, I let out a weary sigh. Unlock invincibility. 5 unlock points consumed. Skill invincibility level 1 unlocked. In that moment I became a cannonball, shooting straight into the path of the sword beam. In an instant the sword beam shattered like rice paper, a spiraling hole punched clean through it. The young man never could have predicted that the creature he had just been chasing would suddenly turn and charge straight at him, let alone that a strike loaded with every ounce of his battle will and mana could be broken through so effortlessly. But there was no time left for him to process any of it. A single crack of impact. My hardened headbutt landed full force in the young man's gut, and he let out a gut-wrenching scream, his body spinning like a pinwheel as it flew backward, smashing through dozens of thick stone pillars one after another, until he finally slammed into a stone wall and stopped. When invincibility wore off, I collapsed completely, my body melting into the ground. I thought I could finally catch my breath, but a cascade of level-up notifications hit me and sent my head spinning all over again. Since evolving, the experience required per level had skyrocketed, and the multipliers had gone through the roof. It had been a long time since I'd seen multiple consecutive level-ups. This human's combat power was roughly on par with a Kodo beast, and yet this supposedly weak human had sent me rocketing up 6 levels in one go, from post-evolution level 11, all the way to level 17, nearly 12,000 experience total. It practically felt like the system was encouraging me to kill humans. Ding! Main quest unlocked, defeat the floor 2 boss, Medusa's head. Quest reward 50 unlock points. That notification snapped me upright. After everything I had survived, every near-death battle I had clawed my way through, including the 5 points I had just earned, I had scraped together a grand total of 35 unlock points. And this single quest was offering 50? Just then, the mongoose's voice came from behind me. I turned around. She was staring at me as if she were looking at something that shouldn't exist. Why is it that when you killed that human, all your injuries healed completely? And why did your presence surge so dramatically all at once? The mongoose was visibly bewildered. By any normal logic, a monster's growth works like any living creature's, steady and gradual. But this juvenile dragon in front of her had killed a single human, and not only had its wounds vanished, its power had leapt forward in an instant. She had never seen anything like it. Faced with her stunned and frightened questioning, I kept my expression steady. So, do you want to die here, or do you want to come with me and kill the Floor 2 boss? What? Have you lost your mind? That's the Floor 2 boss. The only reason she stays in one place is because she can't move. She guards all 3 entrances. Then something clicked. The mongoose stared at me in stunned disbelief, and after a long silence she finally asked, "Don't tell me you're planning to kill Medusa's head, just to reach Floor 3, meow?" I didn't answer with words, just smiled and nodded. The mongoose ignored her burns and raised her voice. "With your current strength, you could crush even me without breaking a sweat. As long as you don't go near Medusa's head, you could rule this entire floor unopposed. Why throw yourself into danger for no reason, meow? You mentioned just now that those humans are fighting the Floor 2 boss because they're trying to leave the dungeon, right?" The moment those words landed, the mongoose understood completely. "Don't tell me, you actually want to leave the dungeon?" I smiled knowingly. "So going deeper really is the way out. Tell me, how do you leave the dungeon? Are you trying to trick me into telling you, meow? So what if I am? You've already let it slip. Might as well just tell me the whole thing. Why should I help you?" The mongoose snapped. "Fine, don't. I happen to have a skill that can access the mind directly, though it causes considerable pain in the process. If you won't talk, I'll just go in myself." The mongoose's face went pale. Skills like that aren't unheard of in the dungeon. From Floor 3 onwards, certain psychic-type monsters are known to use them. Seeing her waver, I pressed the advantage. "If you tell me and agree to work with me, I'll not only let you live, I'll heal every one of your injuries. Give with one hand, threaten with the other." I knew how that worked. I do actually have the memory extraction skill, but it cost 20 unlock points. If I could avoid spending them, I would. The mongoose's ear twitched at those words. After a long pause, she met my gaze, guarded but curious. You mean that, meow?" I thumped my chest. A promise made cannot be taken back. Through our conversation, I learned there are actually many ways in and out of the dungeon. Humans most commonly use spatial transfer magic, but that magic is nearly impossible for monsters to learn. For a monster who has ended up trapped in the dungeon, there is only one way out. Fight your way from Floor 1 all the way down to Floor 5, and once you defeat the final boss on Floor 5, you can leave the dungeon and enter the outside world. Thinking of Leviathan's almost immovable power, I couldn't help but shudder. "That look on your face, have you actually seen Leviathan somewhere, meow?" I nodded, then asked the question that had been bothering me. "Didn't you say each floor of the dungeon is a separate space? That monsters can't move between them freely? That rule doesn't apply to Leviathan, meow. He was the mount of an ancient god, the most powerful being in the entire dungeon. He moves freely between every floor of the dungeon, and no one can kill him, no one can stop him, meow. He stays in the dungeon simply because he chooses to. So your dream of leaving, when it comes down to it, it's nothing but a fantasy, meow." As she finished speaking, the mongoose seemed to run out of strength entirely, slumping to the ground and gasping for breath. Her wounds were severe, and her health was draining away by the second. At this rate, she had maybe 10 minutes before she stopped breathing altogether. Watching her teeter on the edge of death, I thought it over and decided to spend 4 unlock points on the heal skill and condensate, healing every one of the mongoose's injuries. She shot up from the ground in an instant, staring at her own hands and feet in disbelief. "What did you just do, meow? I can't promise you'll ever leave the dungeon, but I can promise you won't go hungry or unprotected on this floor. Will you come with me?" The mongoose still hadn't recovered from the shock. She stared blankly at the strange creature before her. After a long silence, she finally spoke. "So you mean you're going to kill Medusa's head?" I nodded. "Your strength is impressive. The strongest of any monster I've encountered on Floor 2 so far." The mongoose puffed up with pride at that. "Obviously, meow. On this entire floor, the only one stronger than me is that witch Medusa herself, meow." Then the mongoose's tone shifted completely. "But why would I risk my life for you, meow? Kill Medusa's head and you become the top of Floor 2, the queen of this entire level. Doesn't that sound good to you?" At those words, the mongoose's ear flicked. She lowered her head, lips quietly mouthing the words, "Top of the floor, queen." 2 seconds later, she lifted her flushed face and gave her answer. "Fine. Since you saved my life, I'll help you. Just this once. By the way, are you actually a dragon or some kind of dog?" "A dragon? Why? Doesn't look like it. Are you saying I look like a dog?" "Yep, a little black dog, round little belly, head shaped like a dog's too. I'm calling you Dog Boy from now on." I stared at her, utterly speechless. "Aren't you kind of a dog, though? You ran that human ragged before you finished him off, then hurt me just to heal me back up. Whatever, call me whatever you want. What about you? What's your name?" "I don't have one. Monsters in the dungeon don't have names. There's no point." "Then fine. You call me Dog Boy, I'll call you Cat Girl." The mongoose's tail slapped the ground on the spot. What kind of name is Catgirl? Let's go. Catgirl watched my swaying figure waddle away and muttered under her breath, I actually do have a name, you know. Then she leapt forward and fell into step behind me. A few minutes later, we arrived at the boundary between floor 2 and floor 3. Watching the human soldiers still locked in battle with Medusa's head, I decided to wait and let them wear each other down, then move in for the easy kill. Ever since I arrived in the dungeon, I had noticed that the monsters here had no concept of leveling up or skills. For them, leveling up is merely a byproduct of survival. Skills are nothing but tools to stay alive, and killing is simply a means to feed. So aside from mutant breeds like the mongoose, most beasts follow one simple rule: the longer they live, the higher their level. Medusa's head, the boss of the second floor, has survived for at least 500 years. It has no ability to move, yet it holds its ground like a fixed cannon, guarding the corridor that connects the second floor to the third. Any human attempting to conquer the second floor, and any beast pushing toward higher levels, must pass through that corridor. So as long as it holds this position, prey delivers itself in an endless stream. Watching those humans charge at Medusa's head one after another without a shred of fear, only to fall one by one in brutal deaths. By the numbers, there must have been a raiding party of at least 200 to begin with, and now barely a dozen still draw breath. Humans are such idiots, meow. They know they can't win, yet here they come to die. Catgirl watches like she's enjoying a comedy show. I keep my expression blank. Their lives mean nothing to me. What I want is for them to push harder, to chip away as much of Medusa's head's health as possible. Its stats are simply terrifying. Facing it at full strength would be suicide. The humans' wave tactics have failed, but Medusa's head has taken real damage. For a long time to come, it won't be this weakened again, and I have no intention of letting every human here die. The survivors still have their uses. By now, only 9 humans remain. I use every second to think, running through every possible strategy at full speed. Medusa's head has a perception stat of 8,000. A surprise attack is completely out of the question, but a direct confrontation, even in its current weakened state, offers no chance of winning. In the end, I decide to pour all my unlock points into Comet Strike, then unleash the most devastating blow I can to shred its health bar. After that, I'll grind it down in a war of attrition. That's the only path to victory. I commit every available unlock point. This is all or nothing. From my fight with the young knight and everything I've observed since, I know these humans fight without any fear of death. Backed into a corner, they will launch one final suicidal charge. Just as I finish thinking, the 9 surviving humans drag each other to their feet and unleash a roar in unison. 9 streaks of red light flood the hollow cavern, turning darkness into blinding noon. I see it. My moment has arrived. I exchange a glance with Catgirl, then spring forward, hugging the shadows, and creep to the very edge of Medusa's head's detection range. On the battlefield, humans continue to fall one after another, when only 3 remain, with one shielding the others with his own body. The final 2 humans at last close the distance to Medusa's head, leap into the air, and drive a spear and a blade deep into its lower jaw. Medusa's head lets out a hysterical shriek. With its physical defense at 0, that strike from 2 feeble humans rips away over 1,000 points of health in a single hit. At the same moment, Catgirl in her beast form seizes the opening, and blazes toward Medusa's head like a silver streak of light. But against Medusa's head's perception of over 8,000, she's still too slow. Nearly half the snakeheads snap around in an instant as if they knew she was coming from the very start. Well, so the eternal runner-up thinks he can swoop in and steal the prize? Perfect, I've been wanting to eat you for a long time. That is what Medusa's head thinks in that instant. What it doesn't expect is a third presence beyond the humans and Catgirl. With weak point break activated, several glowing red spots flare to life across Medusa's head's body. Those are her physical weak points. A direct hit on any of them means maximum damage. I've been charging for some time. I focus, take one step forward, and the ground erupts. Shards of rock shoot skyward all around me. My whole body becomes a cannonball, melting every stone pillar in my path into rivers of magma. At level 5, Comet Strike converts all attributes into skill power at 4 times their value. A full charge Comet Strike pulse is power beyond imagination. The searing heat and crushing force shred those serpents in a pulp on the spot. A thunderous boom, and Medusa's head releases a grotesque shriek that sounds like 1,000 voices screaming at once. The blow caves in the back of its skull, and the massive body that had not moved a single step in 400 years is launched over 100 meters through the air and slammed deep into the rock wall. I have no time to heal. I fix my gaze on Medusa's head, barely visible in the distant cloud of dust, and only when I see the panel read 0 health do I finally exhale. The 2 surviving humans stand frozen, staring in disbelief. They can't believe a beast just saved their lives. We made it! The second floor boss is dead! That's right, Zhang. Looks like 2 beasts tore each other apart and we walked away alive. The older square-jawed knight can barely contain his joy. So what do we do now? Zhang, the younger knight, asks. The knight named Luo swallows hard, and the joy in his eyes slowly gives way to bloodlust. No matter what, a beast is a beast. This dragon-type beast is small, but I can feel the pressure radiating from its core. If it's allowed to grow, it will become a threat to all of humanity. With that, Luo picks up a broken sword from the ground and limps toward the fledgling candle dragon. We're never leaving this hellhole alive. but killing both Medusa's head and this dragon, that would be the greatest gift we could leave for those who come after us. Zhang hesitates for a moment, but picks up a weapon from the ground all the same. I hear every word they say. Biting the hand that feeds, no phrase suits these humans better, but it doesn't bother me, because this was always part of the plan. Comet Strike has drained every last drop of my stamina. In this state, the fastest way to recover is to level up. Humans are weak but loaded with experience points. I was planning to kill them to recover anyway. If they'd shown gratitude, my conscience might have made it awkward. Their betrayal? I couldn't have asked for better. But just as both knights move to strike, and I am ready to counter, a deafening boom erupts from the rock wall that Medusa's head was slammed into moments ago. It explodes outward, and a massive serpent bites Luo clean in half. I recognize that serpent immediately. It's one of Medusa's head's snake hair, and in that instant something clicks. That's why, after taking down Medusa's head, my experience points didn't go up at all. The hissing of serpents closes in from every direction. The survival instincts I've built up in this dungeon kick in instantly. One dragon claw drives straight through Zhang's chest. Level up complete. My condition snaps back to peak in an instant. What's going on, Meow? Didn't Medusa's head already die? Why are these snakes still alive? A chill runs across my scalp. Something just hit me. We've been played. That human head shape was nothing but a decoy. The true body is the hundreds of serpent demons that form its hair. The skull is merely a hub, a node for connection and regeneration. Right now, hundreds of serpent demons split into two groups. Half surge toward me, half go after Catgirl. There are so many of them, striking from every angle at any moment. And the worst part, all those hundreds of serpent demons count as a single entity. Killing a handful of them makes absolutely no difference. But there is a way. I casually tear a serpent demon to shreds, then glance toward Catgirl. Even with her agility advantage, she's only managed to cut down 5 or 6. I know that if this keeps up, we'll be whittled down to nothing. I signal Catgirl with my eyes to move closer. In this form, Medusa's head's combat power has jumped dramatically, but without the skull-shaped connector. It has also lost its regeneration and magic resistance. One wide-range area attack to wipe out all the serpent demons, that's all it takes to kill Medusa's head for good. And I happen to have exactly that skill. Void Dragon Breath. It's the most powerful offensive skill every dragon is born with, dealing massive area damage to everything around it. Combined with Comet Strike, it converts all personal stats, health, and mana into raw attack power. The downside is that using it leaves me on the brink of death. I would never touch this move unless there was absolutely no other choice. Catgirl is at my side now. The moment she reaches me, I slap her away with a dragon claw. Surrounded by over 200 serpent demons closing in from all sides, I plant my feet and stop dead, and open my jaws wide. In an instant, blue flames explode into every corner of the cavern. Over 200 serpent demons don't even get a chance to react. They are swallowed whole by the blazing heat. But watching those serpents char and crumble, I feel nothing like relief. Because when the heat wave finally fades, I still receive no experience from Medusa's death. As I scan my surroundings with rising caution, a golden serpent demon bursts from the rock floor, jaws wide, driving straight for the center of my forehead. It moves so fast that I barely catch an afterimage. In my current state, a direct hit would mean instant death, but at the very last second, Catgirl, who had been behind the rocks, suddenly throws herself forward, shielding me with her body. There is a sickening crack of bone as the golden serpent clamps down hard on Catgirl's arm, dropping her already razor-thin health points to single digits. Gritting through the pain, Catgirl uses every last scrap of her strength to tear the serpent into 3 or 4 pieces, and sends them flying. I activate Truth to take a look, and find, to my shock, that this was Medusa's head's core beast. Even more unbelievable, I was saved by this not-so-clever cat. I stare at her fractured arm, genuinely puzzled. Why did you save me? By any logic, the best move would have been to let the core beast kill me, then finish the core beast yourself. Catgirl's face is pale, but she forces out a smile. Didn't we have a deal, Meow? We were going to kill this thing together. I become the boss of the 2nd floor. You take off to the 3rd. On top of that, you saved me earlier. There's no way I'm letting you die, Meow. Her naive words make me feel something close to amusement. Thinking back on the humans and their cold ingratitude, it seems my long-held belief in human supremacy needs some serious rethinking. I walk over to what remains of Medusa's head, crush its skull under my foot, pick up the pieces, shove them into my mouth, chew twice, and swallow. Notification: main quest 50% complete. Unlock points received. Current level raised to level 20. Evolution conditions have been met. Only when I hear the completion chime do I finally let go of the tension, and collapse to the ground, gasping in great heaving breaths. At the same time, Catgirl wraps her arms around me with gleeful force, and rubs her face all over me like there's no tomorrow. I have to say, Catgirl's human form is impressively well endowed up top. I use Condensate and Heal to take care of her injuries first. Then I look around. With Medusa's head dead, the passage to the 3rd floor is wide open. But just as I'm about to leap into the corridor, Catgirl speaks up, reluctance written all over her face. We make such an amazing team. If you stayed, we'd be unstoppable on the 2nd floor, Meow. She pauses, as if an idea has struck her. Her face going red as she blurts out, You're super smart, and I'm super strong. I'll be the queen of the 2nd floor, and you'll be my royal strategist. I'm a little baffled. I have no idea what possessed this cat to come up with something like that. I shrug. Forget it, I've always been more of a blue sky, warm sunshine kind of person. With that, I step forward and drop straight into the corridor. Catgirl makes a move to follow, but my voice is already drifting up from the passage below. There's nothing left on the second floor that can threaten you. Until we meet again, Catgirl. For others, the corridor to the third floor might as well be a death sentence. But for me, it is the only road to freedom. The very next second, I regret everything. The first floor was a rocky cavern. The second was a muddy underground pit. What I never could have expected is this. The third floor is a vast open world of ice and snow. As far as the eye can see, nothing but frost and white. With a temperature of roughly negative 150 degrees, I quickly pull up the second evolution options. One look and my eyes go wide. The first three choices are the same as before, but to my surprise a fourth option has appeared. Minor Ice Dragon, rare grade bloodline in conditions of extreme cold, triggered by an intense obsession with heat sources deep in the consciousness. A low probability evolution path, innate skill, ice attribute immunity. Watching my health drain away from the cold, I choose Minor Ice Dragon without a second thought. Just like before, with Truth's familiar chime, the evolution is over in the blink of an eye. Every last black-violet scale falls away from my body. But just as I'm about to check the stat gains from this evolution, a familiar cry comes from directly above. I look up fast, and see a very large backside hurtling toward me at full speed. I don't even have time to dodge. Direct hit. Didn't I tell you to move, meow? After some time exploring, it becomes clear that the third floor is nothing like the first two. It is an endless world of pure white ice and snow. Even the beasts here are semi-transparent and icy, looking almost exactly like ice sculptures, with every single one at level 70 or higher. To break through the third floor as quickly as possible, Catgirl and I decide to hunt beasts here and grind our levels first. And so, after over 10 days of training and adjustment, and slaughtering several thousand ice sculpture beasts in a frenzy, my level reaches second evolution level 8. Since levels reset after each evolution, I am now the equivalent of a level 88 dungeon beast. Catgirl, benefiting from our party bonus, has risen from level 51 to level 62 in the same period. But as our levels climb, I start to notice something deeply strange about the third floor canyon. Since the beasts outside the canyon are lower level, I've been hunting exclusively inside it. The Crimson Wood snow wolves outside may look like ice sculptures, their blood is translucent, their flesh white, but they are genuine living creatures. The snow wolves inside the canyon, however, have bodies made of pure ice, with no flesh or blood whatsoever. Most telling of all, at level 5, killing one gave me 200 experience. But now at level 8, even with intensified growth unlocked for double experience, killing a snow wolf only yields 50 points. That leads me to a terrifying possibility. I bring Catgirl and push deeper into the canyon. Along the way we encounter all manner of beasts, but without exception, every single one has a body of ice. No instinct, no intelligence, no ability to communicate. Most shocking of all, deep inside the canyon, I find a human, with a body made entirely of ice. This only cements what I already suspect. Every beast in this canyon is a summoned puppet, and since there are almost no weak stragglers among the canyon beasts, the creature behind all of this must be overwhelmingly powerful. Almost certainly the third floor boss, the Ice Phoenix. Catgirl and I press forward for 3 full days. Through relentless killing of the summoned puppets, I reach second evolution level 11, while Catgirl climbs to level 75. But leveling up restores your body, not your mind. Catgirl, who has barely rested at all, is stumbling with every step. I'm done, meow. Can we please take a break? The third floor boss is right around the corner. Rest after we kill it. If you're tired, you can stop here. At your speed, you'd catch up to me within an hour. Catgirl grimaces at that. She clearly can't bring herself to leave me on my own, so she grits her teeth and keeps moving. Dog boy, you've been acting a little strange lately, meow. Why are you so set on killing the boss? Because I want to level up faster, kill Leviathan and get out of this hellhole. My reasons are simple. No matter what I become, I'm still human at heart. I want a quiet, peaceful life. This dungeon was never where I belong. Catgirl looks like she wants to say something, but when she sees the iron resolve in my eyes, she just presses her lips together and forces herself to follow. Just then, the canyon opens up ahead into a vast expanse. My footsteps stop. Why did you stop, meow? Did you find the third floor boss? Catgirl follows my gaze. There, on an open plain, a massive ice phoenix sits motionless at the center of an ice nest, as if it has been waiting for us all along. Target: Ice Phoenix. Level 176. Type: rare, near superior beast. Breeding value: exceptionally high. It's the first time I've ever seen a beast with 4 or 5-digit stats across its 6-dimensional panel. It's hard to believe this is only the third floor boss, but raw numbers mean nothing on their own. Skill application, tactics, and sharp instincts, those are what determine who wins and who dies. I step forward. To my surprise, the Ice Phoenix speaks first. Why have you come to disturb my peace? Since it's willing to talk, I oblige. The entrance to the 4th floor is right under your nest, isn't it? We're heading to the 4th floor. If you step aside, neither of us needs to die today. The Ice Phoenix shifts its crystal clear eyes and after a long pause speaks. I only wish to remain here with my child, until the very end of eternity. Why must you disturb my stillness? I glance beneath it. There lies a smaller Ice Phoenix, nothing but bones. Is that your child? The Ice Phoenix doesn't answer. It just gazes down at the small skeleton with boundless tenderness, as if the child were still alive. I have no patience for this, and no interest in its circumstances. I take my stance and prepare to fight. Catgirl watches this and seems reluctant to fight the Ice Phoenix, not out of sympathy or curiosity, but simply because she doesn't think we can win. But I don't care about any of that right now. Whatever happened between you and your child, I just want to reach the 4th floor. At those words, the Ice Phoenix lifts its head and looks at me with something like warmth, and continues in its incomprehensible way. I see. You also wish to become a playmate for my beloved child? My last shred of patience gone, I stop talking. Riding the force of pulse, I become a blue-green cannonball, and slam into the Ice Phoenix with everything I have. I open my jaws wide, and fire 3 consecutive blasts of Void Dragon Breath Pulse. Catgirl swings both forelimbs in rapid succession, launching dozens of wind blades simultaneously. Our attacks rain down on the Ice Phoenix like a storm, slashing her health down to 1/5, but I feel no joy, only growing dread, because from the moment the fight began, the Ice Phoenix hasn't counterattacked. She hasn't even moved from its spot, standing there like a post, utterly unmoved no matter what we throw at it. My combat instincts scream at me to hesitate, but just as I'm about to fire the final blast of Void Dragon Breath, dozens of ice beasts suddenly pour out from cracks along the canyon walls. At the same moment, the Ice Phoenix, still as a mountain until now, finally moves. She snaps its wings wide open. The ice beasts rushing in begin to crumble apart as if melting, piece by piece, and then dissolve into icy water that floods straight into the Ice Phoenix's body, snapping her near-empty health bar back to full in an instant. My heart sinks to the bottom. The Ice Phoenix seems done playing around. It beats its wings with explosive force, conjuring a hurricane beyond imagination. Ice begins to creep from my fingertips and toes, and within a single breath my entire torso is locked in ice. Consciousness bleeds away from my body fast. In my fading state, one voice reaches me, "Dog boy, run, you miscalculated. We're no match for it." After that, everything goes dark. When I come to, I have no idea how much time has passed. I open my eyes and find I'm no longer in the canyon. In front of me is something resembling an old deer smiling warmly. "You're awake?" A sharp, horrified shriek instantly tears across the snowfield. 1 minute later, I'm sprawled on the ground, heart still pounding, gasping for air. I look back up at the sky, still unable to believe that this enormous, strange beast didn't just eat me while I was unconscious. Not only that, he covered me with its massive body and waited an entire day and night, until I woke up on my own. There are good beings in this dungeon? That shatters everything I thought I knew. So, did you save me? I ask cautiously. The bald-headed beast looks genuinely surprised. "You can communicate? You know telepathy too?" I nod a little awkwardly. Didn't I just speak out loud? The bald head tilts to one side. "My apologies. I've been alive so long that my memory's gotten a bit fuzzy. But the one who saved you wasn't me, it was your friend." I blink at that. "That mongoose of yours, how could you forget?" "The mongoose? Catgirl?" I freeze on the spot. Fragments of memory flash past like a spinning lantern. I remember, the Ice Phoenix's freezing aura had already locked my entire body in ice. But at that very moment, Catgirl stepped up, charged to my side, and used every last bit of her strength to hurl me out of the Ice Phoenix's nest. Crying out, "Dog boy, come and save me!" The full weight of it hits me. I drop to my knees. My chest feels like it's been seized by an invisible fist and crushed. The brutal truth and the helplessness it carries crash over me like a wave and drag me under. If I had been even slightly more careful, none of this would have happened. If not for Catgirl, the one dying at the Ice Phoenix's hands would have been me. That cat of yours threw you to the rim of the ice valley, and I happened to be passing by. Honestly, it's been a long time since a beast of your caliber has shown up on the 3rd floor, so I thought, why not bring you in? Back when I fought in the Dark Valley War, I had a friend like that too. But you don't look that upset. Isn't that cat your friend? The old beast tilts its head, puzzled. She is, a stupid cat. She risked her life to save you. How can you seem so unfazed? What am I supposed to do? I turn and head toward the ice valley. The old beast immediately steps in front of me. Why are you blocking me? Because I see a young beast walking straight to its death. Stopping you is an elder's duty. Catgirl is dead and she died because of me. Avenging her is my responsibility. My words ring out hard and clear, full of iron resolve. The old beast says nothing. Its gaze drifts downward slightly. My 2 dragon claws are balled into fists, so tight that blood seeps out between the knuckles. The old beast smiles knowingly, as if recalling something fond. After a long moment, he speaks. "What if I told you your friend isn't dead?" Those words hit me like a lifeline. I snap around and see the old beast watching me with a warm smile. It doesn't look like a lie. The Ice Phoenix's puppets have an extraordinarily high degree of realism. That's because her summoning technique is a rare art called bone-flesh substitution. From the ancient era to now, fewer than 10 beings have ever possessed this skill. It is one of the rarest abilities in existence. Normally, summoned creatures are weaker than the originals, but bone-flesh substitution can produce creatures equal to or even stronger than their originals, because it doesn't copy, it seizes. It traps a creature and kills it, but preserves the soul, strips away the mind, and rebuilds the body out of ice. Less a summoning, more a puppetizing. That's also why killing her summoned creatures still yields experience points. Every beast you encountered in the Ice Valley, without exception, is a puppet of the Ice Phoenix. The 3rd floor has long been entirely under the Ice Phoenix's control. Beyond a few weak stragglers, anything with even a shred of power has been turned into one of the Ice Phoenix's puppets. The revelation is almost too much to process. But what does any of that have to do with Catgirl still being alive? I ask, confused. The old beast continues. Bone-flesh substitution is powerful, but its weakness is that it works extremely slowly. It uses ice attributes to replace the victim's body at the cellular level bit by bit. Only then can the full soul be preserved intact. Given that Cat's stats, the process will take approximately 2 weeks. Kill the Ice Phoenix within 2 weeks, and that cat can be brought back with healing magic. 2 weeks? Hope floods back into me in an instant. The death of my healer had already dealt me a devastating blow. If Catgirl died too, the guilt would haunt me for the rest of my life. This news hits me like a shot of pure adrenaline. If getting Catgirl captured was my recklessness, then rescuing her is my responsibility. Thank you, Elder. I know what I have to do. The old beast lets out a hearty laugh. I've just been alive too long. It's rare to come across a young candle dragon pup, so I helped you out, mostly just to have something to do. That stops me cold. Right now I should appear as a minor ice dragon. The candle dragon bloodline was buried under 2 evolutions. How did this old beast see through it? Then something else hits me as wrong. This beast just said that on the 3rd floor, everything beyond the stragglers has been turned into Ice Phoenix puppets. But something this enormous is clearly no straggler. So how did it escape the Ice Phoenix's grasp? A mischievous glint passes through the old beast's eyes, as if it has read my mind. Don't you also have the rare skill called truth? Now that's an overpowered ability. From the ancient era to now, aside from you, I've only ever seen one god possess it. Why don't you use truth right now and find out for yourself? I am beyond shocked. I never imagined it even knew about my truth skill. Then forgive my impertinence, Elder. I steady myself, raise my head, and activate truth on this enormous strange beast. The moment the data becomes clear, my vision goes dark, my legs give out, and I drop straight to the ground. Because this bizarre-looking beast in front of me is a supreme divine beast, whose level exceeds even Leviathan's. Target, Babylon. Level 413. Type, Supreme Divine Beast. Who exactly are you? My voice trembles uncontrollably, but Babylon only smiles and says nothing. He gazes up at the deep blue sky, lips curved in a quiet smile, as if recalling something beautiful from long ago. After a long silence, he murmurs, "Once I fought 1,000,000 demon gods. With a snap of my fingers I split dawn from dusk. Now I walk alone, content and still, glad to be forgotten." It turns out when the gods first built the dungeon, they designed it with a dual boss structure. But over time, as Babylon grew weary of battle and all its affairs, and as age crept in, he withdrew to the 3rd floor, the most livable of them all, leaving the far stronger Leviathan to rule the dungeon alone. After his brief introduction, I can only manage a rueful smile. Barely halfway through this dungeon, and I've already come face to face with both final bosses. Whether that's lucky or not, I honestly can't say. But at least unlike Leviathan, Babylon is approachable and holds no hostility. Elder, can I really defeat the Ice Phoenix and rescue Catgirl? Babylon doesn't answer right away. The reason he and Leviathan were placed together as the dungeon's final bosses is simple. Leviathan is the one of force, and Babylon is the one of wisdom. It thinks for a moment, then turns the question back on me. This is the dungeon. Every beast you've killed so far, was there a single one that wasn't higher level than you? Babylon's gentle gaze sends a shiver through my entire body. This isn't just kindness, it's 1,000 words compressed into one question by a true sage. I understand the weight of what is saying in an instant. No matter how removed Babylon is from worldly affairs, it is still a dungeon boss, and so is the Ice Phoenix. Its act of saving me could be seen as appreciation for a talented beast of the dungeon. But as a final boss, there is no way Babylon would ever teach me how to kill another boss. I bow my head in thought for a long moment, then rise. Thank you, Elder, I understand. I turn and head in the direction of the Ice Valley. 2 weeks? No, 10 days. 2 weeks is cutting it too close. Catgirl might not hold on that long. 10 days. That's all I'm allowing myself. Subtract the time I was unconscious, and I have 9 days left, and none of it will be wasted. I stand at the entrance of the Ice Valley, pick up a chunk of ice weighing over 10 kilograms, and then channel every bit of my strength, combine it with pulse, and hurl it into the valley with full force. The sheer power behind the throw gives the ice the destructive force of a cannonball. It crashes into the ice wall over a kilometer away with a thunderous boom, and the explosion of sound instantly enrages the icebone kites clinging to the wall. In moments, 2,000 to 3,000 icebone kites lurking near the valley entrance take to the air all at once. But looking at the overwhelming swarm, I just smile. Here's the thing. The Ice Phoenix can restore its health by absorbing its own ice puppets. As long as ice puppets remain in the Ice Valley, the Ice Phoenix is effectively unkillable, and every beast in the Ice Valley has been turned into an ice puppet. So why not strip it of that ability while powering myself up at the same time? Before re-entering the Ice Valley, I spend 40 unlock points to upgrade Intensified Growth to level 2. This skill passively generates 2 experience points per minute outside of combat, and quadruples all experience gained from kills. I settle into my stance, and curl a dragon claw at the sky full of icebone kites. 9 days to wipe out the Ice Valley, and you're the first batch. And just like that, 6 days pass. With the fall of the last purebred Kodo Beast puppet, my body gives out and I collapse to the ground. Notification: purebred Kodo Beast driven to extinction. Extinction bonus of 20 unlock points received. Total unlock points 416. Level raised to level 16. This is the 11th species of Icebone Beast puppet I've driven to extinction. 6 days. I've pushed myself to the absolute edge more times than I can count. At my current level, even wiping out the last 2 remaining species won't push me up a single level, but I have to do it. Not only to strip the Ice Phoenix of its immortality for good, but more importantly, to accumulate 90% more unlock points. To guarantee victory, there are 2 skills I absolutely must unlock. Meanwhile, deep in the Ice Valley, the Ice Phoenix stares at a silhouette frozen inside an ice egg, deeply puzzled. 10 days have passed. By all rights, a beast of merely level 75 should have been dissolved down to the organ level by now. Yet Catgirl, frozen inside, shows barely 20% skin erosion. The rest of her body is almost entirely untouched. The Ice Phoenix can sense that this cat, even deep in unconsciousness, holds something powerful at the very core of its mind, a fierce, unshakable feeling. That feeling keeps her body's vitality from being frozen out, which is why bone-flesh substitution is progressing so slowly, but even the strongest will breaks eventually. Right now, what fills the Ice Phoenix's eyes is not impatience, but something tender and possessive, because to her, this is the finest puppet imaginable. But just then, a voice shatters the silence of the ice nest. The Ice Phoenix jolts from head to tail, lifts its head, and stares in disbelief at the dragon-type beast now standing in her line of sight. "You have witnessed my power firsthand. Why do you dare return? In just 9 days, the killing intent radiating from me has grown more than tenfold." I meet the Ice Phoenix's gaze head-on with cold, proud eyes and say calmly, "Didn't your mother ever teach you that keeping someone against their will is against the law?" This time around, there's no trace of the Ice Phoenix's former contempt. It is genuinely looking at me as a threat. 9 days ago, the Ice Phoenix had been surprised to find such a powerful beast still roaming the 3rd floor, but in its eyes it still wasn't an opponent worth taking seriously. At most, just slightly stronger than the average weakling. But in a mere 9 days, she now sees in this small creature a transformation that turns everything on its head. There's no telling how much longer Catgirl can hold on. I waste no words. I take 1 step forward, become a streak of lightning aimed straight at the Ice Phoenix's face, and drive a kick into its face without mercy. The impact carves a curved shockwave that slices the ground apart like a blade. The Ice Phoenix snaps out of its shock and explodes with rage, eyes locking onto me, and unleashes a blast of freezing breath. But the moment the breath leaves its mouth, the Ice Phoenix is stunned to find that the small dragon which had been right in its face has vanished as if it teleported. "Up here, you lunatic!" My voice comes from directly above. The Ice Phoenix snaps its head up, and sees that somehow I've leapt to nearly a kilometer in the air, with a void dragon breath building in my jaws so scorching hot that space itself warps around it. Last time, when it tanked 4 blasts of void dragon breath, the Ice Phoenix relied entirely on its immortality, and watched our all-out assault like a clown show, not taking us seriously at all. But this time is different. An instinct silent for over 1,000 years screams at it, if it tanks this one the same way, even if it survives, it will lose all fighting ability. In 1/1000th of a second, the Ice Phoenix summons an unimaginable surge of mana, and throws up layer after layer of ice barriers directly above itself. 5 layers in total. Above the Ice Phoenix, an impenetrable fortress takes shape. Void Sky Pierce! I launch a boulder of fire hundreds of meters long from my jaws, scorching the entire sky into a blazing sheet of red. The first barrier doesn't even make contact before it's vaporized. Then the second, third, and fourth, the Ice Phoenix's face goes white with terror. As the final frost barrier is pierced in an instant, the boulder of fire along with the ice nest drives straight through the Ice Phoenix's body in one shot. A devastated, piercing cry from the Ice Phoenix rips through the Ice Valley. A single strike and half its health is gone. If not for the 5 frost barriers absorbing most of the power, that blow would have been enough to kill the Ice Phoenix outright. How did you get this strong? I keep my full guard up against the Ice Phoenix writhing on the ground in agony, and take the stance of someone fighting with absolutely everything. That attack wasn't simply Void Dragon Breath concentrated by controlling its spread, it was an advanced innate skill I spent a full 300 unlock points to unlock. The superior form of Void Dragon Breath, Void Sky Pierce. The most powerful technique of the dragon race, one that not even the gods can possess. The Ice Phoenix stares at me in disbelief. No matter how good your skill is, your raw power is nowhere near mine. So how is this possible? A beast of your level should have skill appraisal, right? Take a look for yourself. I say it plainly. Skill appraisal is a common skill. Its effect is a simplified version of truth, without truth's other capabilities. But like truth, it lets you read another being's level and stats. Using appraisal before a fight to gauge the gap between both sides is standard practice in almost every battle. Since it had already seen my stats 9 days ago, the Ice Phoenix didn't bother to look this time. But when it reads my stats again today, the Ice Phoenix's pupils shrink, and when it reaches one particular skill, the shock it feels is immense. Blood lineage optimization adjusts the owner's physiology to its optimal state, permanently raising all attributes by 50%, including all future gains from leveling up. Additionally, when facing enemies of a higher level, provides level compensation to offset level suppression, up to a maximum of 40 levels. Listed alongside Void Sky Pierce in the top-tier skill group of the skill tree. Cost 200 unlock points. An attribute boost on par with a full evolution. 40 levels of compensation renders the Ice Phoenix's level advantage essentially irrelevant. And finally, Rapid Regeneration. That underwhelming skill I had dismissed before, now has its moment. At a cost of 5 unlock points, It passively restores health and mana as long as I go more than 10 seconds without taking damage or expending resources. 505 unlock points, nearly everything I had, and it gives me the foundation to stand against the Ice Phoenix. You also wish to shatter the peace my child cherished? The Ice Phoenix roars and snaps its wings wide open. Faced with my utterly transformed power, the Ice Phoenix has no choice but to get serious. Drain ice puppets to recover, boost stats, then overwhelm opponents through sheer numbers. That has always been the Ice Phoenix's strategy on the 3rd floor. But after a full 10 seconds, not a single ice puppet appears anywhere near the nest. Surprised? I tilt my head with a smirk. The Ice Phoenix finally realizes something has gone terribly wrong. Unlike standard summoning, bone flesh substitution creates ice puppets with genuine life force. As a result, controlling them demands an enormous expenditure of mental energy. Even controlling large numbers, it can only issue basic commands. The puppets have to rely mostly on their own judgment. That makes sensing when any individual puppet is under attack essentially impossible. With at least 300,000 ice puppets in the valley, tracking all of them would require a perception stat of over 3 million. Even Leviathan couldn't have a perception that high. The Ice Phoenix never had a chance to notice me wiping them out. At this moment, the Ice Phoenix feels as if it has fallen into a frozen abyss. She never imagined that this small dragon would see through bone flesh substitution's greatest weakness and actually wipe out every single one of the hundreds of thousands of ice puppets in the valley. Your ice puppets are genuinely powerful. You absolutely deserve to rule the 3rd floor, but you are too consumed by the past. I've had experiences not unlike yours. I've also watched loved ones die in front of me. Babylon told me your story. What happened to your child was truly a tragedy. But the reason I can beat you is this: my eyes always look forward. The ones I've lost have made me who I am. You, however, are still held captive by them. Babylon? At the sound of that name, the Ice Phoenix shudders violently. The shock in her eyes curdles into fury. That undying old relic! The Ice Phoenix beats its wings, conjuring a monstrous gale. As all the mana in her body surges into its wings, the crystal-like wings blaze with a blinding 7-color radiance. My expression tightens. I know the next strike will be the Ice Phoenix's full power. As the radiance of its wings blazes to its peak, the Ice Phoenix slams her wings down, unleashing a torrent of mana beyond all imagination. Everywhere it reaches, even the air solidifies. And I, already fully restored by rapid regeneration, unleash the most powerful strike of my life. Comet Strike. Void Sky Pierce. Like launching a star from my jaws, an unimaginable heat melts a world that should have been frozen solid. On one side, all of space is freezing over. On the other, glaciers that have not melted in 10,000 years begin to thaw. Ice and fire collide, and the explosion of blinding light that erupts is beyond all description. Once, long ago, when the dungeon was first built, it was nothing but chaos. In the ancient era, the beasts dragged here fought brutal, bloody wars to carve up the 5 floors between them. Out of countless years of that endless slaughter, a phoenix was born. With nothing but her own power, she brought all the fighting to an end, and carved out a place of pure peace within this 5-floor dungeon. Once, this place rang with birdsong and blossomed with warmth across every inch of land. Even Babylon, one of the final bosses, came to the 3rd floor to live in her quiet peace. Later, the phoenix used her power of rebirth, periodically absorbing the hatred of the world, casting herself into flame and rising from the ashes anew, to carry all that hatred away from this sanctuary. Until one day the phoenix had a child. The child took on his mother's responsibilities, helping to tend this paradise on the 3rd floor of the dungeon. But what the phoenix and her child didn't know was that hatred and greed can never be fully erased. Leviathan, the lord of the dungeon, would not allow the beasts here to live in such ease. Beasts must be beasts, locked in the endless cycle of killing, evolving, and being culled. So Leviathan came to the 3rd floor, killed the phoenix's child, and stripped all the beasts of the 3rd floor of their intelligence, leaving them mindless, nothing more than killing machines. The phoenix still remembers what her child said in his final moments. How wonderful it would be if this peace could last forever. If only we could sever the curse of this dungeon. Babylon, you are a lord of this dungeon equal to Leviathan. Why did you stand by and let Leviathan destroy everything I built here? Faced with that question, Babylon's answer is only 3 words: I did try. Babylon told me your story. Facing the dying Ice Phoenix, the fury in my eyes slowly dissolves, giving way to a compassion I'd buried deep inside. In its final moments, the Ice Phoenix fixes its gaze on me. I only wanted things to be as they were before. Everyone living in peace, no more killing in this world. But what you have done is crueler than killing. I refuse to let this world become what Leviathan wanted. I only wanted to protect the peace of the 3rd floor, and sever the curse that binds beasts to this dungeon. But what you have done is exactly what Leviathan wants. You yourself have become the very beast Leviathan desires. The Ice Phoenix closes its eyes, but she is not yet dead. She simply no longer wishes in these final moments to say anything more. I stare at the Ice Phoenix and sink into thought, until the Ice Phoenix finally breathes its last. I don't say a single word. I'll sever that curse for you. Those words won't come, because they're simply not true. Even if I do one day kill Leviathan and leave this dungeon, another beast will rise to take its place. I'm sorry, I'm not capable of your kind of greatness. Dreams that grant are nothing but illusions. All I want is for the people beside me to stop disappearing. In the end, I speak what's truly in my heart. I don't know if it's my imagination, But the moment those words leave my mouth, the look of lingering regret on the Ice Phoenix's lifeless face seems to fade away, replaced by the faintest trace of peace. With a soft crackle, the Ice Phoenix's body crumbles entirely into a field of shattered ice. Notification: level raised to level 17. Main quest complete. 80 unlock points received. With the Ice Phoenix's death, the glaciers begin to crumble, and the temperature rises noticeably. I shift my gaze, and in a corner not far away, I see the Ice Egg holding Catgirl. Her presence is faint, but she's alive. I finally let myself breathe. Just as I move toward the Ice Egg to free Catgirl, something suddenly stirs among the shards of the Ice Phoenix's remains. Something rolls free from the rubble. Curious, I walk over and pick it up. It feels smooth and warm in my grasp, like jade, and turns out to be an egg-sized sphere of snow radiating soft blue light. Wait, isn't this a divine box? You've hit the jackpot, little one. This is a treasure that only drops with a 1 in 1,000 chance, when a beast above level 150 dies.